Welcome to the long-awaited and requested how to handle your period, especially when you're on prep or like even at a show. So I've done, I think like 8 shows now, and all but 2 of them I was not on my period. So plenty of experience here, but I'm just gonna go ahead and get right down to it. Oh, I tried to film it kind of like as I went throughout my day, because I was on my, or still am, on my period since Monday, and it kind of worked, but I've also had a super busy week. I've been pushing a lot of my business really hard and having a lot of like appointments and just kind of like, otherwise I was just laying on the couch, definitely feeling unmotivated, especially to record things, much less do anything else, obviously. But I'm feeling better today, so I'm going to finish this right here, right now. I have a few notes on my phone, so if I'm looking at that, that's why. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you kind of what happens to me, and remember, this video is what helps me. It may differ for other people, science may say more, but I'm just telling you what works for me and how I have dealt with it. So about 10 days before my period, I start getting really bad hormonal acne all around my chin and my jawline. That's nothing new for me. I pretty much always have acne, but you know, around then it gets especially bad.
Yeah, I got you.
There, no. Okay, sorry. About 6 days out, I start retaining a lot of water, like hitting my macros, whatever, and the scale is going up and up and up. So I usually get up to probably like 6 to even sometimes 8 pounds over my normal weight. And it is water, because I'm not messing up on my diet. I'm not, you know, adding much sodium. I'm still drinking just as much water. And that starts to happen. Then obviously really intense sweet cravings and bad sleep. I start having really vivid dreams and tossing and turning and so then about 4 days before my period, I start to get really bloated, the whole fatigue, anxiety, and then lower back pain. I do have a back like birth defect, so that makes it even worse, but my hips start getting really tight, and I just have to notice I have to kind of modify my workouts a little bit to deal with it. For instance, like on back day, I wouldn't do barbell rows. I would do a row that's supported by a pad on my chest rather than put all of the pressure on, hey Joey, on my back. So, and then obviously during and all the way to after, I have the mood swings, just lack of motivation and cramps. So I'm just gonna tell you kind of how I combat each one of the things that I listed. So the water retention is the biggest one. Everybody's worried about it, especially when they're on prep or just weight loss goals in general. So water retention, how I deal with it is, first of all, my normal water intake is about 1 to 1.25 gallons a day. On my period, I have all of my clients add half a gallon, and personally I go up to 2 gallons a day. So this will probably be my last day drinking 2 gallons. And yeah, sometimes it can make your stomach feel a little distended, but for me, this has been the biggest thing. The more water you drink, the less you're going to hold. So that would be my #1 tip for water retention and bloating. And then otherwise, I usually don't track my sodium, but when I am on my period, I try to keep it lower. So, you know, just a little less salt on my food, a little less sauces or whatever, you know. So basically just cleaning that up, lower sodium, up the water, and then sweat. So I know the last thing anybody wants to do on their period is go to the gym and sweat. And I cannot tell you how much, like when I finally just get myself to the gym and get over it, there's no magic thing I can tell you, and this goes along with like motivation or lack of motivation during your period too. You just have to get there and do it. Like there's nothing I can tell you. I wish I could be like, instead do this, but you can't do that. So get there and absolutely sweat. And then, so water, lower sodium, and sweat. And then you can even go as far as something like this. This is herbal, I hope it's focusing. It's dandelion tea. I use this before competitions especially. It is just a natural diuretic, and I have 1 or 2 cups of this a day during my period, and then this is also something I use to dry out for my shows. So, you know, just up it a little bit more. I'm sorry, that's my dog. But dandelion tea, and then, so part of this will be things that I use that I happen to have sponsors for, and part of this won't. But One Up Nutrition also has a water shred supplement, and it has worked pretty well for me in the past too. So that's another route you can go. I think that's about it for water retention. Cravings. So especially when you're on prep, you're already hungry, right? And during your period, you get even more. So just tips on that, just general tips, like spread out the food throughout the day and plan something comforting at night. So I usually save like a bowl of oatmeal with some like peanut butter or something like that at night, and or like like sugar-free Jello with fat-free whipped cream, something like that. Make comfort foods maybe that fit your macros. You know, just because you are eating clean, I'm not saying this for you people that are on a meal plan and on prep, don't go off your meal plan. But, you know, I like to make comfort foods like zoodle soup. So basically replacing, like, it's chicken noodle soup, but with zucchini noodles instead of regular noodles. I feel like that's very comforting. I like eating that. Just make sure you get like low sodium chicken broth. There's some out there for like, I think the lowest one I've ever seen is like 130 milligrams per cup, I believe. And then dark chocolate. So I'm not talking about like 60% dark chocolate. I'm talking 85 or above. It has anti-inflammatory properties and just kind of like cures that sweet tooth, at least for a little bit, to where you can just go to bed, you know, like just stop eating and go to bed. Just get out of the kitchen. So that brings me to my diet and how it changes a little bit when I am on my period. For me, it's mostly from my fat sources that make the biggest difference. So if I'm usually filling my fats with things like nut butter, which is pretty much all I eat for fat and prep because it's the only sweet thing I can eat, I change it to avocado or almonds, stuff like that. So that has omega-3s, it's an anti-inflammatory property thing. It's, you know, words are hard. But yeah, that, and then also I usually don't eat salmon, but I like to eat salmon when I'm on my period, especially close to a show, because once again, the anti-inflammatory properties and rich in omega-3s. So salmon, obviously the difference from tilapia, so salmon has both protein and a good amount of fat. So you're gonna be spending your fat on something like that, and then obviously tilapia is low in fat. But kind of doing that, I actually have noticed a really big difference introducing that more around my period time. So, okay, and then sleep, obviously getting enough sleep, like you'll have less stress, you'll just feel more rested. The last thing you need to be when you're already tired from a period is more tired because you didn't get any sleep. So I take melatonin, magnesium. One Up has a Beauty Dream. It's like a PM fat burner, but I don't take it during my off season because I'm not really trying to burn fat. And then CBD. It's kind of a controversial thing, but if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't, don't. Pretty simple. I don't really need to have a strong opinion on that one. Okay, so next is bloating. So avoiding the foods that trigger your bloating. So I've noticed the last few days I've had like leftover black beans, which are protein and carbs, and just I really like making Chipotle bowls. But the last few days I've been eating that and I've been extra gassy and extra bloated. So I threw those out today. That's adding to my list of like things to not eat, especially during your period. But if they don't bother you, go for it. And they say to eat a lot of dark green veggies on your period they support progesterone, blah, blah, blah. But I stay away from broccoli, honestly, all the time now. I miss it so much, but it always makes my IBS flare, and the last thing I need, especially on my period, is something else causing me not to poop. So I stay away from broccoli. I kind of more gravitate towards spinach and kale. They're not the most fun things, definitely not the most filling things, but you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? But yeah, if broccoli makes you bloated, especially close to a show, the last thing you need is to freak out because you're bloated from broccoli, so just don't eat it. Fatigue, I think we're all tired during our period, so like, sorry, can't help. Just get your stuff done and then you can go lay down. Anxiety, so CBD, just stretching and meditation. Just time alone is what really helps me when I'm like suffering from like PMS anxiety and stuff like that. I just like to be alone. Maybe with my dogs, a glass of tea on the couch, something like that. So, cramps, a heating pad, and then magnesium also helps me. So magnesium can also be from an Epsom salt bath. I use Epsom salt baths pretty regularly for delayed onset muscle soreness. But around my period, I make sure to get in an extra one because magnesium in the Epsom salt can relax those muscles, and it kind of puts you in a sleepy mood, and also it helps me poop. So, hold on.
A few moments later.
Okay, so next, and I'm just giving you guys these tips because this is how I approach it from all angles I possibly can. I'm not as like anal about it when I'm not on prep, but when I'm preparing for a show, it messes with your head, it really messes with your head. So, the next thing, I'm sure you've seen this on my Instagram or on my stories before, is a waist trainer. Now, I do not believe that waist trainers, at least the way I wear it, makes my waist any smaller. But what I do believe is that it makes me sweat more. And like I was saying earlier, the more sweat, the more water you are expelling from your body. And this little thing makes me sweat. Also, it can serve as a nice little confidence booster because when you put it on, you obviously don't look as bloated or as, it just kind of holds you in a little bit. But I do not wear it tight enough for it to make my waist any smaller, and I do not wear it for long enough. I probably wear it for like 2 hours a day. So no, this has not made my waist any smaller, but it does help hide some bloat and just kind of give me a little bit more confidence when I am on my period and at the gym. So, whatever floats your boat. The more confident you are and the less you're worried about how you look, the lower your cortisol is gonna be, which is another thing that can make you hold water and not be able to lose weight and all types of stuff. So, waist trainer. Oh, and I almost forgot to show you guys these, but my biggest thing for sweet cravings, besides the sugar-free Jell-O, tea. So not the dandelion tea, that tastes very bitter. But these are Tazo like dessert things. So this is glazed lemon loaf and butterscotch blondie. And I kid you not, like this one's pretty good, but the glazed lemon loaf, if you put a little bit of stevia in there, I don't know if it was prep smells or what, but I literally could close my eyes and picture myself eating the glazed lemon loaf from Starbucks. It smelled exactly the same, and it'll hold me over. I still haven't had one of those, but I don't know. I want one, but I shouldn't. So, get some teas like this. You can find them at like Kroger or H-E-B, or if all else fails, order them on Amazon. Next, another I'm kind of going back and forth here, but another confidence booster is self-tanner or a spray tan. If you can't tone it, tan it. But yeah, this has been a huge help to me, and I don't make any money off of this, but I do have a discount code for this company, Rosa Self Tanning. They just came out with a new color. It's violet. It's a beautiful hue, and I'm actually gonna put some on tonight because, like I said, I don't know. I feel like just like a nice tan and just a good solid skin color besides my like splotchy paleness, makes you feel good. And you know, if you feel better about yourself, it does carry over to actually how you feel, and you're gonna feel better. So this. As for keeping myself pooping, once again, I use this. I really do use this. I take 3 every morning along with my greens, and it's 1UP Daily Cleanse. This helps me. It took me about a month straight of taking it consistently to see the results. Come here, come on. Here you go. Okay, thank you. Oh, you can't have that. Okay. And then when things really get stopped up, because like I said with IBS they do, this I found on Amazon a few years ago, and it has been a lifesaver. I use this after I fly too, because I always get constipated when I fly, and then flying to these national shows. I do use this, say my show's on a Saturday. I use this on Thursday, and it's called Mago 7. It's a cleanse, but it's not like shit your brain out cleanse. It's more gentle than that. And for most people, you probably only have to take like 1 or 2, and then you can like, I take them at night, and then like I'm good to go by the morning. It's just magnesium and potassium, which is what we're manipulating anyway when I do peak. So this may help you if you're experiencing slow and sluggish digestion, common digestive irregularities, preparing for a lifestyle change or special event. And it is non-habit forming, so it's not like magnesium citrate or milk of magnesia, I think it is, that you can start to depend on. This is like, I take it one day, makes me go the next day, and then I'm good. You know, like I don't need it again once I am back in my regular routine. Also, for my people with IBS that like suffer for that, maybe. I have been, side note, I have been on medication for IBS before, like Linzess and Trulance, but those are too much or too little. So this has actually really helped, and you can get it on Amazon. The next thing is when it comes to actual show day. So I cannot tell you to go off your peak plan from your coach or anything like that, but I know, once again, preparing for it, it's hard because like I said, on my period I get super constipated. So when I go to those things, that has been the biggest like game changer for me. The last, like when you are that lean, you can see on stage if somebody's holding a bunch of poop. Like you can see it. I mean, you can't like physically see it, but like it just looks different, especially when you get a very lean midsection. There's a difference. So making sure I poop is the #1 thing for competing on your period. Number 2 is the water. I personally don't drink a lot of water on show day. There's sciences for it, science against it, whatever. I do what works for me. So I'm extremely dehydrated on show day, but I also don't load with any fiber. So I don't have that like mass type feel in my stomach. So I don't know, if your coach has you eating like a bunch of fiber and you don't have a very good digestive system, or it's not working very well because of your period, I may like, you know, advise against it, or a few weeks out from your show, kind of, for the period before your show, kind of experiment with it. Personally for me, I finally found what works for me, and it seems to be these supplements plus like actually going down in fiber, which sounds weird, but it's what works, okay? On stage, so moving on to actual show day, once again, not stressing about it. Like the more you stress about it, the body is smart. The more you're gonna bloat, the more water you're gonna hold. You just have to, you know, if you didn't bring your travel scale or whatever you bring, don't step on it. You don't need to see that. You don't need to know your stage weight. Who freaking cares, you know, especially if you're not in a weighted class. Literally, who cares? So that, and then like I said, I can't change your water or anything. I just kind of deal with it and reduce the fiber, just be very careful about what I put in my body, and maybe even like less protein is personally what I do, because the less food that is in my stomach, the flatter it's going to be. And at that point, it's not about you getting your daily intake in, it's about how you look. That's just the fact on stage. So moving on to actually being on stage, so I don't know a lot of girls that get super stage lean and then still have a heavy period. So generally they're a little bit easier to deal with when you are that lean, but for ladies that do have a heavier flow, just make sure you have backup, like change it right before stage, or you know, stuff like that. If you're wearing a tampon, obviously you can't wear pads, that swimsuit is tiny, so no pads. What I personally use is called a Diva cup. So it's like this little, I think it's silicone cup that you squeeze. I personally squeeze it like this and then put up in there. So the reason I like Diva cup is, one, in general, I always use them. Like I have another one, so yeah, that's what's in there right now. But in general, they don't have any chemicals or anything like that. So you're not putting any like variables in your body. I like these, but I wouldn't recommend like, oh my god, I'm about to start my period, I've never used a Diva cup before, but it's my show day, let me go get a Diva cup. Don't do that, because the first time I did, it made me cramp a lot, made me hurt, but your body does get used to it. Once again, it's obviously bigger than a tampon, so it's gonna take some getting used to, but I would definitely go practice this, because the last thing you want is a string hanging out of your bikini bottoms on stage in your back pose. I've seen it. Don't do it. Just get something without a string, okay? And no pads, obviously. But Diva cup, that's pretty cool. And I think that's all the little things I have for you. But I do want to say, if you are on your period and say it's your first show, like, okay, yeah, like you can be disappointed, whatever, but it's about how you handle it. It's about how you carry yourself, you know. Maybe you're off. You know what? The best athletes in the world have off days. People lose huge pro shows, or I'm pretty sure even the Olympia, because they had an off day. You know, at junior nationals, I got 8th, and I was on a heavy period. I don't know how it was heavy. It was 4 days late, but it came. And then the next day after, so prejudging was Friday, and that's when placing is decided. But the next Saturday, so on Friday I had a burger, fries, like too many fries, honestly. I was like, you know what, I was pissed, you know. And I woke up the next day, I think it was like maybe 2 pounds lighter, and my waist measurement was 1.5 inches smaller, I believe, or maybe I got those numbers switched around. But my point is, whether or not my placing would have been different, I had an off day, and you know, it sucks. It really sucks, but it's also okay. So on my next show, I knew I wasn't gonna have my period on that day, and I was really excited. But even then, the week before, so I went into peak week, like it was my period and then peak week and then my show. So we cut it close, but I remember it still messes with your head, because I knew I had to get tighter. I knew I had to come in leaner, and it was hard. So, but okay. What I didn't do that time was stress so much. I stressed about my period so much before junior nationals that I think that's why it came later. And going into USA's, I was like, this is fine, it's a process, just go sweat, get your stuff done, you're gonna be all right. And you know, it came and went and it was over, and I looked really good, you know, like a lot tighter. I think I came in like a whole pound leaner or tighter or whatever. wasn't holding nearly as much water, and I do credit that to not letting myself stress out about it enough, or as much, sorry. But that, and then the funny part is, here's the kicker, for North Americans. So I was supposed to, so I had my period 2 weeks out from North Americans. I was like, cool, perfect. I'll be like ovulating at North Americans. I usually get a little bit bloated, but I look fine, can handle that. And then, so the show was on a Wednesday. That Sunday, when we got to Pittsburgh, I like went to the bathroom and I like wiped. There was like bright red blood. I was like, did I just start my period? And I did. This happened in 2017 too. I don't really lose my period, but I started getting it every 2 weeks, which was weird. But that happened, and you know, by Wednesday morning it was over. But once again, I didn't let myself stress about it. I was like, I'm lean enough, I got this, you know, just did my little regimen here as much as I could when I was in Pittsburgh, and it paid off. So my biggest thing is, remember, you're not alone. If you're having trouble with the motivation, there's nothing magical anybody can say to you, or that I can say to you. Get your ass up, go to the gym, get your stuff done. If you have to modify or you have to work out really slow, just do it. I don't know. Right, Joey? What do you think, Joey? But there's not much more I can say about that, but I'm glad I'm finally getting this video out. Probably not the most interesting video ever, but I hope it helps some of you. Maybe gives you some things to think about that you hadn't thought about before. And in other words, my next video will be a prep update and a little housewarming party / house tour, probably. So watch out for that. And let me know if you have any more tips. Please drop them in the comments, because I know a lot of people watch this video and then read the comments. If you have something else that you think will help that I didn't mention, please share. And that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good PMS time. Bye.